Wait, what does that even mean? That was Delonte West's exact reaction to his bipolar diagnosis and his absolute nosedive from NBA royalty? It is wilder than anything you have ever witnessed. Going from sinking playoff daggers right beside LeBron to lying lifeless on a highway, requiring 2 hits of Narcan just to pull air into his lungs. This entire saga kicks off with a desperate prayer on a hospital floor. Welcome to the story of the kid who turned sheer agony into buckets. Now, there is a specific type of tragedy the internet absolutely eats up, spits out, and comes right back to binge on. It is the tale of a guy who held the world in his hands, who laced up alongside the greatest hooper walking the earth, cashing multi-million-dollar checks. A guy who, by every single metric of the modern American dream, had officially crossed the finish line, only to watch it all disintegrate into absolute dust, piece by excruciating piece. Before we dive into the crash, and believe me, it is a gut-wrenching, relentless descent that will completely ruin your entire day, we have got to rewind to his roots. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because Delonte West's tragedy does not begin with those viral clips. It does not start with police mugshots or those heartbreaking panhandling pictures that shattered the internet. It originates with a young boy out of Prince George's County, Maryland, who relied on a basketball the same way we rely on therapy, music, or midnight doom-scrolling pure survival. Delonte Maurice West entered the world on July 26th, 1983 in Washington, D.C. He faced heavy poverty in Prince George's County, Maryland, living in what he dubbed a joyful, broke household, couch surfing between relatives after his folks split up. His mom hustled through countless minimum wage gigs, government tasks, bagging groceries, and even a hotel front desk job just to keep their plates full. Look, there is a fairy tale angle here where this is inspiring, and the kid conquers the odds, which he totally did. But a much darker reality lurked beneath the surface. Delonte was not merely fighting financial struggles. He battled something way more toxic. You see, Delonte comes from a mix of African American, Native American, specifically Piscataway and white roots. That unique blend gave him a lighter complexion and reddish hair, turning him into a massive target for local bullies. Kids roasted his big ears, a mole on his head, a birthmark right below his mouth, and even the way he spoke. We are not talking about standard playground jokes here. This was a soul-crushing identity rejection that completely destroys a kid's self-esteem. He later admitted that deep self-hatred, not the bipolar diagnosis, not a clinical label, was the true demon stalking him for decades. But here is the catch with Delonte. He discovered a cheat code to escape. That safe haven was the hardwood. The court became the one sanctuary where nobody dared mock him. It was his laboratory for turning raw trauma into pure offensive power. Then, hitting 8th grade around 1997 at roughly 14 years old, a brutal leg injury robbed him of his sanctuary. He ditched classes altogether. Drowning in stress, his mom shipped him off to stay with his dad down in rural Louisa County, Virginia. That is exactly when the powder keg exploded. West himself pointed to this era as the moment he truly took his first terrifying nosedive. He began self-harming. He fell into heavily abusing prescription meds, popping pills with labels he could not even read aloud. He was constantly bouncing in and out of youth psych wards. He survived several suicide attempts, yes, several, before even reaching adulthood. During one completely heart-wrenching episode inside a facility in Cumberland, Maryland, he was fully prepared to check out. Instead, he crashed to his knees and prayed. He struck a bargain with God right there on that cold linoleum floor. Keep me breathing, guide me to the league, and I will make your name famous. Insanely enough, defying every single impossible odd, the game of basketball snatched him right back from the abyss. Years down the line, viewing it through the lens of a mature adult, West tried to shift the narrative on those nightmare chapters. He once dismissed that tragic era as a desperate plea for attention, confessing at age 31, "What on earth was I thinking?" You look in the rearview mirror and think, I was acting like a total brat. But let us be crystal clear, the trauma was absolutely real. The psych wards were real. Those physical scars were entirely real. And the reality that hoops saved his life tells you exactly how vital the sport was to this young man. It was never a casual hobby or a simple passion project. It was his literal oxygen. Over at Eleanor Roosevelt High School in Greenbelt, Maryland, Delonte did not just compete, he absolutely demolished the competition, putting up 20.2 points, 6.5 boards, 3.9 dimes, and 3.1 steals a night as a senior, he locked up the Washington Post All-Met Basketball Player of the Year honors, dragging the Raiders to their first ever state tournament bid. Again, hoops was not merely a game for him, it was the sole reason he still had a pulse. Then, St. Joseph's University called. This is the exact moment Dante's journey shifted from a feel-good story to absolute legendary status. He joined forces with Jameer Nelson, creating what everyone universally recognizes as one of the most lethal backcourts in college hoops history. By his junior year in 2003, he was dropping 18.9 points and 6.7 assists per night, shooting a ridiculous 41% from deep. The Hawks cruised to 27-0 during the regular season, flawless, completely untouchable. They wrapped up 30-2 overall, storming straight into the Elite Eight as a top seed. The guy even put on a flawless 12 for 12 shooting clinic, dropping 33 points on Xavier to snatch National Player of the Week. Guys, do not forget to subscribe, because we are talking about a teenager who was literally bleeding in hospital wards just years prior, now draining every single bucket on primetime television. That is way beyond raw talent. That is pure survival instinct forging a superpower. The Boston Celtics scooped him up 24th overall in the 2004 NBA draft. Overnight, the kid out of PG County, who was begging for a lifeline on a hospital floor, officially made it to the big leagues. During his rookie campaign, he was getting mentored by Gary Payton and Doc Rivers. He lived out the ultimate rookie dream. Gary Payton sharing the locker room, Paul Pierce showing him the ropes. Those initial seasons rocking the Celtics green built his foundation. He absorbed the knowledge, logged the minutes, and mastered the art of being a pro on the toughest basketball stage on the planet. But then came the trade to Seattle, paving the way for the blockbuster move that flipped his universe upside down, landing with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The way he describes it, it felt way too perfect to be reality. He was just chilling out in Seattle when King James himself reached out and asked if he wanted to run it in Cleveland. And he was just blown away. Fast forward 3 months, and he is the starting point guard for Cleveland, sharing the court with the greatest player alive. And trust me, he wasn't just tagging along for the show. He was completely balling out, like he said himself. Suddenly, he is running the offense and lobbing alley-oops straight to King James. Those are legendary moments he gets to share with his kids forever. Then, he delivered what is arguably the most brilliant, self-aware quote in basketball history. "I was not the main guy, but I was the guy standing right beside him." That right there, that is the exact kind of clarity that proves he knew his exact role and value. By the way, hit that like and subscribe button if you love deep dives like this. During the 2008 to 2009 campaign, he started all 64 games. He suited up for putting up 11.7 points, 3.5 dimes, 3.2 boards, and 1.5 steals, all while shooting 45.7% overall and a career-high 39.9% from downtown. Cleveland finished 66-16, setting a franchise record and clinching the top seed in the East. Come the 2009 postseason, he took his game to another level, averaging 13.8 points across 14 starts, highlighted by a 22-point masterclass in Game 6 against Orlando. He even drained a buzzer-beating triple-to-sink Washington in the 2008 playoffs, which still stands as one of the most ice-cold moments of that entire run. At his peak, this guy was the ultimate blueprint for a championship role player. He was insanely efficient, gritty, a total menace on defense, and fully capable of taking over a game when his team needed a spark. This earned him a 3-year, $12.7 million deal, bringing his 8-season career earnings to roughly $16 million. The kid who grew up with nothing but a smile was now incredibly wealthy. He had officially reached the mountaintop, answering all his childhood prayers. But here is the tragic truth about achieving your dreams. Sometimes the reality comes with brutal hidden costs. This is where it all falls apart. All those triumphs, the epic comebacks, the ice-cold shots, the team records, the massive paychecks, all of it was 100% real. Yet, just beneath the surface, a ticking time bomb was waiting, and nobody in the league or even his closest circle saw it coming. Because while he was splashing threes next to the greatest of all time, he was secretly battling intense mental demons that no clutch highlight reel could ever cure. Back in 2008, Following a practice game where he completely lost his cool on a high school referee and almost walked away from basketball forever, he finally looked for professional help. A doctor near the Capitol officially diagnosed him with bipolar disorder, and the response was heartbreakingly relatable. He admitted that when he first heard the word bipolar, he was completely lost and literally had to search it on the internet just to understand it. Just let that sink in. A full-grown adult, a multi-million-dollar pro athlete, receives a completely life-changing medical verdict and has to go online just to figure out what is wrong with his brain. It was the first time anyone had ever suggested he was dealing with severe emotional struggles. He started a treatment plan with heavy medications and genuinely tried to embrace his new reality, even brainstorming a charity to support kids facing similar mental health battles. But what happened next was a devastating blow that derailed absolutely everything. On September 17th, 2009, he was pulled over in Maryland while riding a three-wheeled motorcycle for a simple traffic stop. The officer's discovery was absolutely shocking. 3 loaded firearms, a 9mm handgun tucked into his pants, a massive revolver strapped to his leg, and a tactical shotgun hidden inside a guitar case, along with a hunting knife. His reason was actually pretty simple. He claimed he was just moving the firearms because his mom told him the kids in the family had discovered them hidden in a closet. But social media absolutely did not care about the facts. The cruel jokes went incredibly viral. Even though he explained that his new heavy medication caused extreme drowsiness that night, nobody wanted to listen. Before we get into the fallout, make sure to subscribe to the channel. He revealed that the doctor had just given him a new prescription that very night, and the side effects hit him much harder than he anticipated. Next thing you know, he is cruising down the highway with a mini armory while fighting to keep his eyes open. He said the drugs put him in a complete fog, unlike anything he had ever felt before. Ultimately, he took a guilty plea for the firearm and driving offenses, which landed him with an ankle monitor, standard probation, 40 hours of giving back to the community, and mandatory therapy sessions. The league then slapped him with a suspension for the first 10 games of the 2010 to 2011 season. In the blink of an eye, his entire reputation was destroyed. He transformed from a heroic team player into that unstable guy caught riding a trike with a weapons cache. Prominent media figures threw him into the wildest celebrity category imaginable, where absolutely insane behavior just becomes expected. Social media ruthlessly mocked him, and even highbrow news outlets dropped sarcastic jokes about his position on the court. That incident also fueled one of the most toxic, baseless urban legends in basketball history, a highly disrespectful rumor involving the mother of his superstar teammate, a claim he has forcefully and consistently shut down over the years. However, the online mob never lets the truth get in the way of a viral scandal, making the lie impossible to escape. It became an unforgettable shadow that ruined his public image wherever he went. This tragic situation perfectly exposes just how badly the professional sports culture completely failed to protect its own. Guys he played with later confessed they ignored all the red flags. In a brotherhood defined by raw ego and acting tough, no one was willing to step up and point out that their brother was struggling. The alpha male mindset dictated that showing emotion was pathetic and seeking therapy was cowardly. So he agonized right in front of them, while his peers simply turned a blind eye. After the arrest hit the news, he suddenly transformed into the ultimate locker room villain. If he had a bad day at practice or wasn't grinning, the whisperers would start accusing him of skipping his meds or losing his mind. This toxic label completely nuked his financial future in the sport. He admitted the severe impact, noting he went from commanding multi-million-dollar salaries to suddenly scraping by on absolute bare minimum deals for the rest of his career. If you are finding value in this untold story, drop a like. This is the harsh reality the trolls ignore when making fun of mental health in sports. His condition did not just damage his internal peace, it actively robbed him of enormous wealth. Front offices forced him to undergo intense psychological evaluations before even offering him a tryout, treating him like a dangerous ticking bomb rather than a man who just needed support. Sadly, the lost contracts were just the start of his downfall. Despite raking in about $16 million over his time in the pros, it all vanished through reckless purchases, terrible financial advice, and smash subscribe, sports fans! We're talking severe financial drain today. A bitter split struck in 2010 near the 2011 league shutdown. This exact baller, sharing the court with King James, was at the peak of the sport merely 2 years prior. Then he casually shared a home improvement retail application online. He even took shifts selling home goods. The playmaker tossing lob passes to the king and sinking clutch postseason daggers suddenly found himself organizing inventory and hauling sofas. Right around this chaotic phase, he began second-guessing his earlier psychological evaluations. Between 2012 and 2014, he completely ditched his prescribed treatments. Speaking up later, he vividly recalled feeling immense doubt about those medical labels from day one, though he initially played along simply to set a positive example. He felt the medical experts entirely misunderstood the wild reality of an elite athlete's everyday environment where massive overnight riches spark reckless buying. It wasn't clinical imbalance. It was merely a 20-something kid holding a massive fortune without a shred of money management skills. Instead, he blamed his dark days on passing blues, deep-seated insecurity stemming from his youth, alongside the intense weight of the pro leagues. Was this a truthful revelation or mere deflection? Only he and his personal physicians will ever truly know. However, it threw a massive wrench into an already chaotic tragedy. Drop a like if you're hooked. Dallas cut ties with him in late 2012 following several locker room clashes and missed practices. Short international runs in Asia and South America came next classic. Desperate hops across the globe, driven more by survival than glory. A developmental league return down in Texas provided one final glimpse of hope. He put up 14.8 markers nightly, yet physical setbacks ruined the run. By 2015, his time on the hardwood vanished completely. Then, heartbreaking visuals shocked the sports community. Around February 2016, snapshots revealed him roaming without shoes in medical gear near a Texas fast food joint. Come June 2016, clips of him asking for change in Maryland broke the internet. He brushed off the vagrant rumors, insisting he was merely assisting a paralyzed local resident. Yet the troubling events piled up, and by 2020, disturbing footage caught him taking heavy blows on a highway in restraints. That clip was so gut-wrenching, it sparked massive debates regarding how the league handles its retired veterans. Witnessing those trending tragedies sting badly, going far beyond just the player. It hurt because he named his little boy Cash, inspired by legendary fighters and iconic musicians deliberately avoiding the junior title to spare him the baggage of his own reputation. He proudly shared how the baby got his title from greatness, giving him the middle moniker, instead explicitly dodging the exact suffix to protect the child. That detail absolutely breaks your heart. A loving dad, caring so deeply that he refused to pass down his identity, fully aware of the cruel public mockery. He desperately wanted to shield his kid from playground bullies, targeting him over past scandals. The former guard knew precisely which vicious taunts would surface. Imagine walking into class and hearing brutal, completely fabricated gossip about his dad and a certain superstar's mother. That baseless urban legend became an unstoppable internet gag. The veteran had to endure the nightmare of his offspring facing those vile whispers at recess. It is far from a joke. It is a human's legacy destroyed for cheap clicks and clout. We are at day 100 of this tragic loop. If the beginning was glory and the middle was disaster, this final chapter will truly break your soul. This is where the dark loop reveals itself, a ruthlessly aggressive downward spiral that has kept spinning for over a decade. Once those 2016 street corner pictures blew up, the grim routine of his retired life took firm root. Make sure to subscribe to follow this deep dive. The process played out identically every time. An inner psychological battle sparks dangerous coping habits. Those bad habits inevitably create a chaotic public scene or run in with the law. The drama catches fire online. A savior steps in. A short period of cleanliness happens before the demons win again. Usually incredibly fast and out in the open, completely shattering spirits. And his escapes went way beyond a few drinks or typical recreational greens. We are looking at a terrifying mix of street elements that grew worse annually. Insiders claim his habit evolved from the medical doses prescribed during his early clinic visits into far more heavy liquor and chemically soaked smokes, infamous in the underground scene, before spiraling straight into heavy narcotics, proven by the countless emergency revivals he needed later on. He was not partying. This was a broken soul drowning in mental agony, grabbing at literally anything to quiet his mind, if only for a brief moment. Fast forward to 2023, reports placed him wandering outside a convenience store in Virginia. He was totally cut off from every safety net that attempted to rescue him. Then steps in the billionaire owner. In 2020, following those begging clips popping up in Texas, the former boss took action. He grabbed him from a fueling spot, paid for luxury recovery programs down south, secured him a nice room, and bridged the gap with his mom. Come January 2021, the athlete actually secured employment at that same healing center. An inspiring comeback story that thrilled fans globally. Unfortunately, the dark loop restarted. The team owner recently discussed the crushing reality of trying to save someone prone to ruining their own progress, his tone dripping with absolute sorrow. It is gutting, isn't it? He genuinely believed they had finally fixed the issue and won the battle. The Tycoon explained relocating him to a rural recovery sanctuary linked to another basketball legends initiative down in the Sunshine State. For a minute, the news sounded incredible. Drop a like if you respect that move. He mentioned shipping him to that peaceful agricultural retreat managed by a former superstar. Things seemed optimistic, with promising snapshots arriving daily. However, the tragic twist was lurking. It is that exact sinking feeling known by anyone supporting a friend battling serious inner demons. The daily messages gave off major winning energy. Suddenly, the former guard tosses his belongings away and vanishes without a trace. They tracked him down, but the disaster repeated itself. Constant teases of victory followed by defeat, proving you can only offer so much assistance. The billionaire perfectly captured the brutal truth about battling heavy psychological hurdles and relentless bad habits in one. Welcome back to the channel. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button. There is a brutal honesty you develop when seeing a loved one constantly spiral. Psychological struggles are absolutely genuine. They truly exist. You cannot simply hope them out of existence, nor can treatment instantly cure everything. Make sure that specific truth sinks in for every single viewer today. You cannot just medicate the problem into thin air. Endless cash, jetting off to a Sunshine State, or providing housing, employment, and a solid crew might not be enough. Frequently, the individual desperately needs the willpower to battle their deepest internal demons. For our guy Delonte, that war never stopped. The police encounters piled up, continually growing more terrifying. Back in October 2022, authorities nabbed him for attempting to breach a stranger's vehicle down in Fairfax County, Virginia. He caught 4 minor offenses, which featured public drunkenness and unlawful entry. Then, by June 2024, the situation took a massive downturn as officers detained him for breaching his parole terms and fighting the cops following a short sprint. Shortly after, medics discovered him completely unconscious, requiring Narcan for revival. That initial hit of medication failed completely. Paramedics rushed him over to the emergency room, delivering another shot just to bring his pulse back online. Guys, this is way beyond a simple medical emergency. We are talking about yanking a human being away from the Grim Reaper using powerful anti-opioid drugs, especially when the primary intervention completely tanked. Moving to November 2024, he faced another property charge. Exactly 12 months later, in November 2025, cops located him laid out and breathless near a Fairfax highway. First responders administered another rescue dose, though he rejected medical transport, forcing law enforcement to book him simply to protect him from his own severe inebriation. Later, during December 2025, the absolute most heartbreaking chapter unfolded. Authorities locked up the former guard on accusations of attacking and mugging a random pedestrian for a measly $23 along a Belhaven, Virginia strip. $23! A former pro who raked in $16 million on the hardwood reportedly stole pocket change. A judge let him walk on a $1,000 bail, scheduling his hearing for March 2026. Legal counsel framed this as an ultimate reality check. Clip rolls. There goes my guy. What's good, homie? That specific footage features a random passerby spotting the ex-league veteran, simply checking up on his well-being. By the way, drop a like right now if you want him to succeed. It highlights a profound truth missing from police reports. We are looking at a genuine person, a dad, a child, a brother in arms on the court. However, this narrative refuses to conclude in tragedy. Forget the jail bookings, the trending street videos, and the booking photos. We are pivoting to the absolute most crucial update imaginable. Why? Because the 42-year-old stepped directly into the frame during late March 2026, dropping the exact positive news his supporters were praying for. He stated, "Chilling down in the Sunshine State, rolling in the caddy, grinding out this health and physical recovery program. Doc has me locked in." Honestly, the guy appeared more vibrant than he has in a decade, completely lucid, sharp, and dialed in. Keeping my mind sharp, you feel me, currently sitting at 100 days clean. The team fixed me up nicely. 100 days completely clean, folks. That marks the greatest documented period of clarity the Hooper has experienced recently. Sure, fans have ridden this roller coaster previously. The uplifting rumors, the return hype, the guarded excitement. Perhaps history loops back around, or perhaps he finally breaks the chain. Yet currently, this 42-year-old warrior, the same youth begging for mercy in a Maryland clinic, remains in the ring swinging. Moreover, his journey connects to a massive, far more disturbing dialogue regarding professional competitors once the stadium dims and fans exit. Remember when Kevin Love suffered a massive anxiety breakdown during a 2018 matchup? His candid essay completely shattered the league's psychological barriers. Then, DeMar DeRozan sparked an absolute revolution by posting about his own depressive spirals. Furthermore, the legendary Paul Pierce openly discussed his intense trauma following that horrifying incident where attackers sliced him 11 times. We are talking about elite icons, title winners, and wealthy superstars who face the exact same shadows our featured athlete navigated. However, those legends maintained sturdy safety nets, whereas his foundation crumbled. Veteran basketball mentor John Lucas previously guessed that roughly 10% of professional hoopers silently endure mood disorders, needing critical prescriptions. Sadly, the sport's old-school environment systematically turned seeking therapy into a massive taboo, branding guys as weak liabilities. Our guy actually broke the silence way back in 2008, long before society embraced these conversations. Tragically, the fierce criticism he caught for speaking out likely accelerated his downfall. He bared his soul to an association completely unequipped to handle raw emotion, paying a heavy price. Still, that unique toughness pushed him past childhood illnesses. That incredible drive launched him out of Prince George's straight into the big leagues. It crafted his legendary humble mindset as the ultimate wingman. Listen up, this saga is definitely far from finished. If you learn a single lesson today, understand this fact. Psychological battles are never a joke. Substance abuse is not comedy fodder. Those individuals dominating internet feeds are actual souls enduring wars we cannot comprehend. My reputation carries heavy baggage, he admits. However, I truly desire to prove my worth globally. I need the basketball community to witness my massive personal growth. The man remains determined to shock the globe. Hitting that 100 days clean milestone proves he refuses to quit. That isn't a sad ending. It represents a true gladiator. Make sure to smash that subscribe button, hit the like, and click the next video for more elite sports coverage.